Tour Junkies.
What's going on, golf addicts? Here we are. It's the Tour Junkies. It's the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open 2019 for the PGA Tour. It's a pretty stacked field, and we are pumped. It's also going to be a great podcast tonight. Me and Pat are feeling good. We're feeling ready. We're feeling fresh. I went to the gym today. I feel good about myself.
The gym, nice.
Yeah, I've been going.
Yeah,
I've been going a little bit. I'm trying to. Trying to get it together. It's going to be a great show. We've got a new segment tonight that we're going to debut for the first time ever called The Putter Throw. All right, The Putter Throw. That's coming after the picks and all the fun stuff. We're going to get right to the picks. We're going to recap the Safeway Open that just happened in Cam Champ. We're going to talk about that. A couple little storylines coming out of that. And other than that, we're just going to have a good time. You ready, Pat?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I cannot wait. I think this is there's a lot of S's in the fall. A lot of S's. You got Sanderson Farms, Safeway, Shriners. I get them. I'm starting to get confused a little bit.
It's not hard to confuse you, that's for sure.
A lot of S's. And there you go. That's all I got to start us off there.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get into the S's, but before I got to tell you guys, you do not want to miss the end of the show. The putter throw segment is definitely going to be lit. So you don't want to miss that. But Pat, the people are waiting. We've already got people jumping in on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube live, thank you. Be sure and bring the funny, pithy comments. I'll be sure to put the ones that I think are funny on the screen.
Wish I could see them.
Can't see any of them. Our boy Josh Kistler was one of the first in, so I know Josh is ready to let you go. Let you have it there, Pat. That's going to be a good time. So let's get to it, man. Let's hear about the golf course, TPC Summerlin, and what you think it's going to take to play well here, bud.
Yeah, so we're at the Shriners Open, Las Vegas, Nevada. TPC Summerlin has hosted this event since 1992. It is a par 71. We've got seven. It's
Do you still have pants that you wore in '92?
Where was I? I was like a sophomore in high school. Nah, probably not. There's no way those would fit me. I may have like a belt, a braided belt
that you would like let hang down to your mid thigh.
Yeah, you did the whole like cross thing and then let it hang down. Yeah,
I got to be honest. I did that. I mean, if Zach Morris did it, I did it. So
yeah, I mean, if Zach was doing it, yeah, for sure. So yeah, par 71, 7,255 yards. Bent grass greens this week, and it is going to be a scoring fest. You typically see that here on this course. It has always played as one of the easiest on tour. Now, I will say 2018 it played relatively hard, but you had a little wind out there, and I think that's the key with this course. It's pretty wide open. I mean, there's not a lot of trees on this course, so if you do get some wind, I think that's something to look out for come Wednesday. It can play a little bit more difficult, and you may change your strategy a little bit, but as far as typically you're going to get a ton of birdies out here. You got 8 par 4s that play between 400 and 450 yards, and over the last 2 years, everyone pretty much in the top 10 has finished tops in that category. So strokes gained on par 4s is something to definitely look at this week. You got 3 par 5s here. 2 are very gettable at 563 and 560. This course has typically yielded the most birdies and the most eagles, at least in the top 10, of courses on tour. So I think that's something that you want to look at. Again, these guys are going to score. Looking at stats for me, certainly forming course history, I look at strokes gained off the tee and strokes gained approach. Both stat categories that finished well, like where guys in the top 10 the last few years, they finished high and off the tee and strokes gained approach. So I think that's something you'll look at. I may look at bent grass putting a little bit, but I don't know. I think this is just, this is a course where you got to get guys in good form that are scoring. It's an easy one, and I feel like there's some good players in this event. So we'll see what happens, but that's about all I got. It's just this course doesn't really excite me all that much. So I gotta admit, I really didn't dive all that much into it because I just feel like it's just gonna be you're just looking for scorers, guys that are in good recent form, guys that are in good, dropping birdies and What you doing there, David?
I'm doing my sleeves like you. Doing my sleeves. Pat is constantly. If you were yoked, this is what you would do.
Anyway, that's all
Yeah.
I got.
I think despite your feeble efforts, you pretty much hit the highlights. Wind is the thing here. So, like you said, when Cantlay won it in 2018, it was a pretty freaking windy tournament, and the scores proved it. Only twice in the last 8 years has the winning score been less than 20 under, which is pretty nuts. So you're gonna and for right now, it looks like the wind is pretty mild. I mean, it's only Monday night. You're definitely going to want to check that on Wednesday. We will have some commentary about it in the Chalk Bomb email that'll go out Wednesday night. But right now, it looks pretty mild. So all indications would be absolute scoring fest, like you mentioned. The par fives on this golf course, 3 of the easiest holes year after year after year on this course. You have got to take advantage of the par fives for that reason. I'm definitely looking at par five scores, looking at strokes gained approach, greens in regulation, opportunities gained. A stat courtesy of our friends at Fantasy National Golf Club. Pat, what I was thinking about before this? Do you remember when we used to do this without Fantasy National?
I do, and it's I don't even know. I don't want to think about those days.
I mean, in 2015 when we started, 2016, before our buddy Moose put together Fantasy National, we had to do all kind of stuff, man. It was like the Stone Ages. It was like using an abacus to
It
do
really
a math
was
problem.
like now. I mean, who knows? Maybe our picks were better. I doubt it, but I don't know.
I think the
It's
competition was worse. Like everybody playing, we were all just as dumb as we could be, and so it was just like,
well, we only had a few tools that we could use, and they
yeah,
weren't near as good as what we got. Obviously, with Fantasy National, look, it made my life way more easier than it made your life, because I think you had
yeah,
some better ways of using technology and making it more efficient to you, whereas it was like, I mean, I'm like writing crap down on all
yeah.
kinds of pieces,
Ignorance is bliss
whereas
for you in that department.
yeah, so like it was probably like it was a life changer for me, but and it's not just me. I mean, we do a show, but I mean, for you, the listener who does this, on a weekly basis. I mean, it makes your life so much easier when it comes to just choosing players, looking at stats, filtering out whatever you want to do,
Yeah,
because you can customize it however you like it.
yeah,
I mean, if you're a big form guy, then you can put that in there. If you're a big history guy, whatever. I mean, it's just great. So.
yeah, yeah.
My
FantasyNational.com.
favorite's the mixed condition model.
Love the mixed condition model. I've got it working pretty hard for me this week, actually. I took some stats into consideration. But fantasynational.com/TJ is where you need to go. Fantasynational.com/TJ gets you 20% off any membership, weekly, monthly, or annually. That'd be great if you could do that. That would make us very happy. So I'm looking at par five scoring. I'm looking at approach, your greens in regulation. I'm looking at opportunities gained. I did look at the last 100 rounds, strokes gained putting on bent grass surfaces, and I'm going to go on record. I think it's a bomber's track. I just think this is going to be a bomber, a score track. Now, Ryan Moore.
I forgot. You look at past champs though.
I know
meant
past
to
champs
mention
are
that.
interesting. Who are they? Yep.
You got Bryson last year. You got Patrick Cantlay. You mentioned Rod Pampling in 2016. Smiley, our boy Smiley Kaufman. This is where he got his lone tour victory before he had a great year, by the way, in 2016,
Yeah.
or at least he contended in the Masters. And then Ben Martin in 2014. Also in the field, Simpson. You got Ryan Moore and Kevin Na, 3 guys who have all won here before. So not a whole lot of bombers in those past champs. But I do agree it was a different. Maybe Bryson and Cantlay you might could put in that.
Yeah, Bryson,
category.
Cantlay, Smiley was a bomber.
Smiley was a bomber.
Was an
that's
absolute
true.
bomber. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Now, I tell you what's crazy to think about. In 2016, Rod Pampling beat Brooks Koepka in second place. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a day where Rod Pampling beats Brooks Koepka? Yeah, I am in on this, at least for 2019 and the foreseeable future, the way the PGA Tours continue to set up golf courses. I just think this is one where having a lot of that length can give you a real advantage, especially on these par fives. Now, we haven't mentioned this, but I mean, I think Vegas plays at a little bit of elevation, right? It's not ridiculous like Mexico when we play the WGC event down there, but there's some elevation that factors in. But I like the long hitters here, and my picks are probably going to reflect that. And I don't have a whole lot of short knockers. So
I'm with you, though. I'm with you. I agree.
now we are getting some YouTube questions here. Josh wants to know what's in the tumbler for you tonight. What you got? Is that wine out of a tumbler? What is that?
No, it's Tito's with
Okay.
a splash of ginger lime and some grape juice.
Okay. I got the usual, the DB. Tito's, LaCroix, splash of peach schnapps and a lime. Ready to get to some action?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do some picks.
All right, let's get to the picks. We're going to start off, we're going to get in the DraftKings. We're going to talk about the 9K and above tier on DK. I got to be honest, I am going to go pretty balanced here. I love the field. It's definitely a good field that we're getting here. But when I look at my lineups, I really, really, really like the 9K range, and I really like the 7K range on DraftKings. I could not find a whole lot in the 6K that I felt great about. And
the 7K range is
the
fantastic.
7K range is stacked. I mean, if you're playing in big GPPs, we'll get to it. But if you're playing in huge GPPs, you could play guys all out of the 7K range.
Entire 7K range.
We'll get to it later, but the winning lineup last week left $3,400 on the table in terms of salary cap space on DraftKings. So it's something to think about. I'm going to start with a guy, though, who I think when I go above 10K, I'm going to have him. I'm going to play Patrick Cantlay. He's number one in par 5 scoring over the last 24 rounds. He's not a bad putter on bent grass surfaces. But absolute ball striking fool. Now I know he finished T40 last week, but first event back in a couple of weeks, shaking the dust off, shaking the rust off. Runner up here in 2019, won here in 2018, as we already mentioned. I think Cantlay at 11-1 is a great play. I think people will rush to DeChambeau as defending champ, and having played well last week. Obviously, Koepka's going to be up there. So I think of the 10K and above range, I like Cantlay the most. Then I'm going, I got to get a little Tony Finau in there. Finau has played here every single year. He obviously likes this course. It's near his home. It's near where he has come up playing and lives now in Utah. So the history here is solid. I mean, very solid. And in fact, in the last 5 years playing this golf course, this golf tournament, he is 4th in this field in ball striking on this course. So obviously it suits his eye. So I love that about Finau. And he just came back over from the old European Tour. He was playing on the European Tour a little bit and played well. Made both cuts. Finished 51st at the PGA. Not terrible. But last week at the Alfred Dunhill finished 10th. And that was a scoring fest. I mean, the Alfred Dunhill, the guy won it at like 21 under, 20 under. So it's a scoring fest. I love that opportunity for Finau here. I just have a feeling that this is going to be the event Tony Finau wins. Like, I know he's already won on the PGA Tour. He won like the Puerto Rico Open or something a couple years ago. But I think this is an event I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win this week. I have a feeling. I think this is going to be Finau's week to actually win a golf tournament in a good field that's not an alternate event. I think that's happening. So he is, for that reason, also my cash play. I just think he's a lock at that price at $9,800. And then I got to go Joaquin Niemann. I'm going to keep riding the hot form. In every single stat category I looked at, Joaquin Niemann checks the box. We saw him win at the Greenbrier a couple weeks ago for his first victory. Tough for a rookie to come back the very next week. He finished 54th at the Sanderson. Not great. But for the first time this past year, or last year was the first time he played this event, finished 10th. Love the ball striking. Love the salary savings I can get with Finau and Niemann in that 9K range. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to fade. I think you can't play Cam Champ. I mean, I said it's a bomber's course. He loves the fall. You said it earlier, talking to me this weekend. Cam Champ loves the fall like Brooks Koepka loves majors. But it was such an emotional week for him. And we'll talk about it later, and it's awesome to see. But I just don't think you play him jumping up to $9,300 with the inconsistency, the emotional week he had. I'm not sure it's all going to be there for him right now. So I think he's the fave. Are you okay, Pat? You were looking for something. Did you lose a contact? What happened?
No, I didn't bring my pen up here. That threw me off. I like to write stuff down when you say something,
Oh,
so
okay, okay.
I don't have my pen. So whatever. A little bit of agreement here. So I'll start with Fee now. I am totally in agreement with you. He was one of my guys that I wrote down as one of my 3 GPP plays for all the reasons that you said. And actually, I said this could be his week. I think this is the week to bet on him. If you're gonna, we're in Vegas. You gotta bet on a guy to win his first, or a real event, other than whatever. So I think I think this is it for him. So I really like Finau. I think it's a good spot for him. So yeah, he is one of my favorite plays here. Going above that though, and I know you tend to go off the highest price guy, but I like playing Koepka this week at 11-7. He's obviously going to fit all the stat categories. I mean, he bombs it off the tee. He can score everything. I mean, the only thing that may get him in trouble is whatever club Jenna wants him to go to in Vegas if they stay out till 4 in the morning, and then there's going to be some problems.
I mean, we got to talk about that factor here in Vegas. We've got some folks chatting on YouTube.
There's a Vegas factor. Yeah, that's
I
something.
don't think. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I am concerned about Brooks in Vegas with Jenna. If she's on the arm heading to the Shriners, she's gonna want to go get put a resume in a few places.
I feel like he's someone that doesn't really get distracted by that all that much, though.
Yeah. I think Brooks likes to have a good time.
No, I agree with that, but I just don't know. I mean, I think anyway. You mentioned he's fared well here before, finishing second at the Pampling, which just makes me laugh. And then in 2015, he had a T4 here. He did miss a cut in 2016, so maybe he wasn't with Jenna then. I don't think so.
He wouldn't make any money at that point either.
Yeah, so he finished T4 the year before that, but he wouldn't make any money anyway. So, but I do like playing Koepka. I think maybe you get a little bit of a ownership. We'll see what the projections look like, but that's a high price, so maybe folks will be off of him. But I still think you can play him for sure. I like Finau as well, and then I like Gary Woodland at 9,600. He's got a good history here. He's obviously a bomber. The guy can freaking score. If you look at all the stat categories for scoring, he is literally just checks the box. He's 5th in opportunities gained, 2nd in birdie or better percentage. He's 6th in eagles gained, which this course is one of the top courses on tour as far as giving up eagles. So look, he is a definite scorer. I think people are going to be off of him a little bit. We haven't seen him since. He finished top 15 at the Tour Championship. So I think Gary Woodland is a good kind of, just sort of, I don't want to say sneaky GPP play, but I'm wondering where he's going to be at as far as ownership with around Hideki, Colin Morikawa, who has been playing really well, and then Neiman as well, who is a guy who's also been in solid form. That brings me to my cash play, which is Neiman. I do like him at 9,400. I think he's just a lock there, just a solid consistent play that you can lock into a cash lineup. So I do like that for Neiman. My fade is actually going to be Webb Simpson. I think that you can fade him this week. He's sitting there at 10-2. He does have a great course history here. We haven't seen him since the Tour Championship. But if you look at the stats, I mean, he's 100th in strokes gained off the tee. I don't know. I mean, he's 50th in ball striking, which is kind of weird to me over the last 24 rounds because usually he's great as far as ball striking. 66th in proximity. I don't know. I think Webb is going to garner a lot of attention and a lot of ownership, and I want to be. I think you fade that, and so I will fade some Webb Simpson here at 10-2. By the way, I think Champ was my first fade. But I immediately thought it was probably a little bit too obvious, so I agree with the Champ fade.
I don't know about Woodland. I have a bad feeling about I love the course. I love the fit from a skill set perspective on Gary Woodland, and obviously he's got a good record here. But when you go back and look at it, the last 2 years when he's played really well here, He's come in having played the week before, or at least 2 weeks before. I don't have any data on this, but I feel like Gary is not a very first event back kind of guy. Like, we know that about our boy Joel Damon. Um, there's a few players who, like, if they've had a few weeks off, you just know to avoid them until they get 1 week under their belt. Even if they miss the cut, they're fine the second week. And I have this feeling that Gary's that kind of guy. So I'm a little
Didn't
concerned.
Gary come out of the didn't he come out of the gates pretty good though on the beginning of this year at the either the Sony or the Tournament of Champions? I felt like he did, but I could be wrong.
I didn't look at that. What I went back and looked at is the week of the Shriners, the last 2 years where he finished 10th and 18th. Both of those years he played the tournament before, or at least the tournament like 2 weeks ahead of time. But we haven't seen him since the Tour Championship at East Lake, and I just I don't know. That's just a gut call. Of course, I love Gary. I mean, everybody knows how much I love Gary. I feel like Donald Trump when I say that. Everybody knows I love Gary Woodland, but I got a feeling about that one. I don't know. Okay. Let's get to the 8K range. This is a strong situation here as well. In the 8K, I'm gonna go. I tell you a guy. If I'm gonna make all right, I'll tell you who's automatic for me, and that's Scotty Scheffler. I love the guy here. I don't know how you avoid Scotty Scheffler. I thought about, well, he's a Corn Ferry guy. Do we worry about him with strippers and cocaine and stuff? But I don't. What, you okay?
That was kind of funny. Actually, I almost laughed at one of your jokes.
Hey.
You get mad at me for not laughing at your jokes. I'm
going to drink to that.
Okay.
But, when you look at Scotty, he looks like he's lived life a little bit. So I don't know that this is good. He doesn't have like the baby face, like deer in the headlights look like Sebastian Kaplan or something has. Like, I don't know. He just or Victor Hovland. Like, I feel like Victor Hovland's agent somewhere is beaming with pride because somehow he's been able to talk Victor Hovland out of being at this golf tournament. Because I feel like if Victor were here, he would be motorboating everybody in the city. Like, he just looks like a kid. I love the kid, but he looks like a kid who goes to Vegas and just loses his ever-loving mind.
Okay, by the way, but let me just say this. We're not trying to say that you checked like the Bible studies in the area to see which players are showing up at the Bible studies.
That would be Webb. You should not fade him. You shouldn't be fading him.
Those are the players that you should take. I mean, don't go that far with your research, okay? But you do want to be aware of certain situations.
Yeah, I just feel like Scotty's lived a little life. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not worried about it. I think he's gonna go there, get business done. We've seen him come out absolute just balls to the wall on his rookie year so far. He's checking every single box. A T7 and a T16 to start off his rookie season. I feel like Scheffler is ready to win, and I will gladly pay the $8,800 for it, and I will pay for it in cash as well. And I don't care what his ownership is in tournaments. I'm playing him. Really loving Scheffler. Now here is where I start to. There are 4 guys left that I really actually like, and I'm having a hard time. I feel like Fratelli, who we were both on last week, and I love it. Playing great, and I love his game here. He checks boxes here. He's never played here before, but it doesn't matter. But a 6th place and a 7th place his last 2 events. But I feel like Fratelli may be a chalk fade. Like maybe this is the week at 8,900 now. He was 18% owned last week. You're not fooling anybody with Dylan Fratelli right now. Maybe this is the week to hop off and pivot somewhere else. That's what I'm trying to work through. I'll give you my guys, and then maybe you and I can work through this one together. I'll see what you have. I am very tempted to play Jason Kokrak here. Obviously, the skill set fits. He checks all the boxes that I need him to check. He plays here every single year, although he doesn't have any great finishes to speak of. The fact that he shows up here every year either means, A, he has a gambling addiction or a hooker and cocaine addiction, or B, he really, really enjoys the golf course. We saw him miss the cut at the Greenbrier, but Kokrak played so good the entire season. I feel like he's a guy that could get back on the saddle and play well this week. The last 2 guys are JT Poston and Matt Wolff. Poston's been solid lately. and Wolf to me just fits every possible box. But my hesitancy for Wolf is similar to the Victor Hovland factor. Now, I know from his Insta stories that Matthew Wolf is, he's locked up. He's got him a little hottie that follows him around all over the tour. So hopefully she's with him. But, he's a handsome devil. He's full of money. PGA Tour, first year in Vegas. Like, I don't know. It makes me a little nervous. But so I can't decide in tournament play for Telly, Kokrak, Wolf, and Poston to pick 2 of those 4 for tournaments. I can't decide. Are you on any of those guys? Any of those your fade?
Actually, Wolf was a little bit of a fade for me. Now he was written underneath my real fade, but he was closer to a fade for me than he was a play actually.
Who's your real fade?
Ches Reavie.
All right, so mine's Cam Smith, just because I think out of this group, like he's just, to me, he's the worst one. But anyway, Ches Reavie, really.
Ches has all the stats are going to fit for him. He's played here 3 times in the last 5 years, T67, missed cut, and a T24. Nothing great to write home about. I mean, I think everybody was on him last week, and he finished T33. I feel like the ownership's going to be high at 8,700. It's more of a just.
I'll go with it. He's not a bomber. I mean, last week's course was way better for him.
Yeah, I thought last week's course, was definitely a better fit for him. So I think Reavie is a fade. Kokrak was one of my GPP plays, so I'm in total agreement with you. I don't have to talk about him. I think he's a great play. He played great all year. I think he continues that again on this course, a course that he does fit well for. So I'm totally with you there. And then on Scotty Scheffler was my other tournament play. I had him. So there's a little bit of indifference, I would say, on Wolf. I mean, look, I guess we haven't seen him since. I mean, he kind of took, what did he take, a few weeks off here? I mean, we haven't seen him actually since the Northern Trust, where he was T71. I mean, you look at the stats, I don't know. Nothing really jumps out. I mean, strokes gained par 4, he is in the top 30, which is a stat I do like this week. He's freaking 72nd in the field in strokes gained off the tee. I don't know. I don't know if, and everybody loves to play these young guys, and they love him. Wolf is a DFS darling, but
I think I'll go Kokrak and Poston. Scheffler, Kokrak, and Poston in tournaments. Scheffler and cash. Cam Smith is the fade. I still don't hate for Telly or Wolf, but I do think out of those are going to be popular players. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to check ownership levels, but yeah.
I like Charles Howell and cash. I mean, the guy's played here 3 times in the last 5 years. He's got 2 top 20 finishes. We've seen him play well recently with the top 4 last week at the Safeway. And he's the freaking PGA Tour ATM. I mean, he just cashes every week. So at 8,500, I think it's still a good price for him. I will play him in cash lineups.
Okay. You got any bets cooking right now? Have we hit any numbers that you're looking at right now or not?
I could swing back to that.
Well, I just feel like this is probably where I'm going to start. This is probably where I'm going to start looking at betting some guys. I mean, Scheffler's at 45-1, Kokrak's at 50-1, Poston's at 66, Matt Wolf's at 60. I just feel like this is kind of where it's all going to start for me. Is in this category on MyBookie. Obviously, mybookie.ag, where we go to bet. Let's do it. All right, man. Somehow in the 7K range, we're going to make ourselves land on 3 tournament plays and a cash play. It's going to be very, very difficult.
How we're going to do this?
All right. Since there's so many, I'll give you my cash play. And honestly, when I looked at it and I dug into it, this is a guy who I truly, as I was looking into it, I was like, yep, this is my cash play. Of all the guys I like in this range, this is a guy that I feel good about, and it's a little scary, honestly, for a cash play. He's only played here once in the last 5 years, and he missed the cut. He played last week, and he missed the cut. But he is just checking every box, and I like the price at 7,600. I'm going to Emiliano Grillo in cash. Is that
Wow.
crazy? I feel a little crazy for that.
I don't think that's crazy, but I just don't feel like you're ever on him on the show. Like you just always want to avoid that guy.
He loves bent grass greens. He puts way better on bent greens. Better on light years better on bent grass than any other surface. Probably because he's a poor putter, and at least on bent grass, the line is usually nails. He's in this field over the last 24 rounds. He's first in greens in regulation. He's first in opportunities gained, which is your proprietary fantasy national stat that kind of speaks to how many times a player hits it within 15 feet on approach shots. And he's second in strokes gained approach. And he's ninth in strokes gained off the tee. Like, just tee to green is unbelievable. And he's just got to put it all together. And at 7,600, I feel like I love it. I don't know. So Grillo, I like. By the way, he's 75 to 1 on my bookie. All right. Other than that, man, this is. I like Bubba too.
Oh my god.
Do you like Bubba? I love the par 5 scoring ability. I love the. He's third in this field in par 5 scoring.
Yeah.
And I feel like not many people are gonna want to play him. So I like Bubba. I like dude. There's so many people in here that I'm interested in. Aaron Wise, I'm interested in hopping back on. He's checking a ton of boxes for me as well. Great record here. He's played here 3 times with a 15th, a 10th, and the 32nd. Recently finished 39th at the Sanderson Farms. I think Wise is a pretty good value at 7,500. Munoz continues to play really well at 7,400. I mean, and he's a bomber. Munoz hits the ball a long way. If you don't know, you need to know. Munoz don't play. Below him, a guy who's played here only twice in 5 years, but his worst finish is a T16. We haven't seen him in a few weeks, but that's Ryan Palmer. Another guy that hits it a long way and can score. I like Lucas Biergarten coming out of the European Tour. Played really well last week at the Alfred Dunhill. Hits it a long way. Johnny Vegas, Daniel.
I feel like we're like getting into the old
we
old
are,
style,
but I literally can't make myself.
You can't. I have my 3 guys for GPPs, my cash and my fades, and you're like over here like going old style format, just naming a bunch of people.
All right, if I had to land on it, I'm gonna go with Wise. I'm gonna go with Wise. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Munoz, and I'm gonna go with Bubba, and then Grillo and Cash.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry, man. There's a lot of guys in here. We said at the beginning you could make a whole lineup and feel just fine.
You could, and I think you could actually, if you're listening right now, make a lineup with all 7K guys just to do it. Put it in a tournament. Like spend $3. Put it in a tournament and do it. But I'm going to start with mine. I like Brian Harmon. The guy has just been extremely solid this year. I mean, you look at hang on. You look at his recent form, T15 at the Sanderson Farms. He was T3 at the Greenbrier. Has decent course history here. I mean, it's not great, but he was top 15 the last time he played here in 2017. But he's checking all the boxes. When I put in my mixed condition model on Fantasy National, he is number 1. He's 8th in ball striking, 13th off the tee, 19th in strokes gained approach, 3rd in par 4 scoring, and 6th in proximity. So I like Brian Harmon as well at 7,800. I think he's a good play. A guy you mentioned, Johnny Vegas. He is another one that I like as a tournament play. He's down there at 7,200, also checking boxes and ball striking off the tee. Has been in good. He was kind of a sneaky play for me last week, and I put him in some lineups, and it served me pretty well. I mean, he finished T28, but he did score, and he had some. He wasn't all that bad. So sorry, T28 in the.
Yeah, T28 last year at this event. Dude,
Johnny
Vegas is 140 to 1 right now on my bookie.
I will take him 140 to 1 in a second.
Like that's pretty freaking good.
Yeah. So I like him. And then Harold Varner III. I was kind of surprised you
Yep.
didn't mention him. I
I
thought you
had him
might
written
like
down.
him.
I had him written down.
Another guy that's, checking all the boxes, is in great recent form. I mean, incredible. I mean, you look at his last 4 events, T17 last week at the Safeway, top 20 at the Greenbrier. Yes, 68th at the BMW, but a T3 at the Northern Trust. Just a guy that's just been in fantastic form, so I like him. Harmon is my cash play. My two fades are going to be the local boy, Scott Piercy, who everybody was on last week. Didn't really do all that well. He's a Vegas guy. He lives in Vegas. I think that sometimes presents a problem for some of these guys. It's like when we talk about we'll be at the RSM Classic in a few weeks with these guys that are all in the Sea Island Mafia, sometimes with tickets and whatever else, a lot of distractions. So I think Scott Piercy is going to be high owned or higher owned than he probably should be. So I don't really like him. And then also Kevin Na.
Ooh.
Just don't like. He was kind of a sneaky play for me last week, and I don't know. The guy just yeah. For one, he burned me, so maybe that's what's happening here. But I think Kevin Na is a fade. And you look at the stats, he is 112th in ball striking, 97th off the tee, 110th in strokes gained approach. So not really checking all that many boxes here. And then you look at he did finish second here in 2016. But other than that, he had a withdrawal, of course. If you don't see a withdrawal from Kevin Na in a 5-year history of a tournament, something's wrong. Like, it's going to happen. And then other than that, though, a miscut last year, a miscut in 2017. The recent form hasn't. I mean, missing the cut last week. He did finish top 15 at the Greenbrier, but I don't care. Kevin Na, fade for me.
Na's a hometown Vegas guy. He's not going to withdraw from a hometown event. And actually, what's interesting is I have two fades, and one of them is also Kevin Na. I think Kevin Na, when you look at the history here, he's a guy who is maybe one of those tour players that doesn't do as good when it's a hometown event. He just doesn't, for whatever reason. He's maybe his family, friends, responsibilities, all that stuff going on. That in combination with last week's performance, in combination with the fact that I don't think this golf course really fits Kevin Na. I think it's a good spot to fade in. I got another guy that I'm going to fade that I like. I like the player. You were on him last week. Good call. I think you're actually on him the last 2 weeks. In his last 3 events, he has finished 17th, 11th, and 13th. But I'm fading Mr. Lanto Griffin. Here's the reason why. He has done something that he's only done once in his career and never to this effect. He has gained strokes putting the last 3 events, which he's only done once, and at astonishing numbers. Last week gained 4 strokes. The week before that, almost 8. And the week before that, 5. Putting. Lanto Griffin does not putt well. He never has putted well. And unless some point between, the Korn Ferry Finals and this new year, he's gotten some sort of magical tip from Steve Stricker or something, it's gonna fall off at some point. The ball striking is not significantly better than we've seen it in years past or tournaments past with Lanto. He is a bomber, which I like. He hits the ball a long way. If you like Lanto Griffin, play Lanto Griffin. He hits the ball a long way. He can score on par 5s. But the ball striking numbers are not that much different from what they have been in tournaments past. But the guy's gaining an absurd amount of strokes putting. And by the way, all of those 3 events, none of them were bent grass surfaces. Historically, his worst surface putting is on bent grass. He's much better on POA, and he's about average on Bermuda. So I think Griffin at 7,200 is going to be a cheap guy. A lot of guys are going to want to flock to because he's been playing so well, and I think it's a good spot to fade him. So there you go.
I don't know if I agree with that, actually. I
was going to say, I thought you were. I'm surprised you didn't mention him.
Well, of all the guys, there's a ton of guys in the 7K range. He was one that I do like. I think you just ride the hot hand there.
I didn't convince you there with the putting.
I don't care. I think you ride the hot hand.
What if his ownership projection in tournaments was at like, I don't know, 10%, Lanta.
I probably wouldn't play him then. In that range is a
I
low
don't know that it
7K
matters
guy.
at 10%, honestly. But yeah.
I don't know. Low 7K guy though. Still, I'd be looking for a little bit lower ownership.
I just see a dip coming with that putter. I feel like it's coming. All right, let's get to the 6K range. I'll let you start this one off since I've stumbled my way through the last few. While you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and place my MyBookie Jonathan Vegas bet.
Okay, at 140 to 1.
Yes.
All right. All right. The 6K range is I don't know. There's not a whole lot of guys here that are really my favorites. I will say I do like our boy Joel Damon at 6,700. Anytime we get him cheap, I think it's a good play there. But he's not one of my favorites. But I'm just saying I do like him this week. At 6,600, Roger Sloan is a guy I think that definitely he's checking boxes, ball striking, also strokes gained approach, and par 4 scoring. He's in the top 20 in the field. I mentioned 9 of the top 10 finishers, I believe, in the last 2 years at this tournament have finished in the top 10 in strokes gained on par 4s, and he is in the top 20 as far as that stat category is concerned. So I do like some Roger Sloan. Next, I will throw out, let's see, let me go down to who I liked there, a little higher up. Well, I think Robbie Shelton's obviously he's an obvious call, but I do like him. I mean, he's played well. I mean, I think it's just he's kind of the obvious guy here, but I do like him. A sneaky play might be Harry Higgs at 6,700. You look at his last 3 events. He finished top 20 at Greenbrier. He was kind of snuck in there and finished T23 at the Safeway Open. So at 6,700, I think that's a pretty good price for him. You look at stats for him as well. He's 25th in ball striking, 22nd off the tee, 38th in the strokes gained approach, 12th in par 4 scoring, and 21st in proximity. So the guy is just, I mean, across the board is a very solid stat guy. So I think Harry Higgs is a pretty good play there at 6,700. So those that would be my 6K guys right there.
I think I'm going to jump back on the Burgoon bus. I like him coming off that miscut, dropping in price pretty significantly. He was 18% owned last week at the Safeway. He ticked a lot of people off. And so I think Burgoon, who, if you look over his career, gains a lot more strokes on easy golf courses where you can score a lot, where you have to score a lot. He bombs the ball off the tee. He's a great iron player. He kind of came back. He did a little bit of what I'm thinking Lanta is going to do this week. He kind of came back to earth with the putter last week.
Yeah.
And that's what made him miss the cut. And you missed it, I think, either close to the number, but somewhere near the number. I think that's an interesting GPP play. I'm not going to get in here in cash. There's too many good names in cash on the 7K range. But I do think he's an interesting play in terms of tournament plays on DraftKings. And then I agree with your Robbie Shelton pick. I think what about Charlie Hoffman at $6,700? Like, does that just feel? That just feels kind of weird. Like it just feels.
Charlie Hoffman, I can't get right. I mean, every week I just don't. So I'm not gonna play him.
Not a great record here. He's missed 3 of 4 cuts, but the one cut he made was the last time he played it. He finished 18th. He did miss the cut at the Safeway, but he finished 23rd at the Sanderson. I just feel like in terms of upside, you know what? He's 100% one of the more inconsistent, hard to predict guys of late. But in terms of upside, he's a proven PGA Tour winner. He's competed in majors. I mean, like, in this field at $6,700, it just feels like a guy with a ton of upside to me in tournaments. So it just made me scratch my head a little bit. I think Scott Stallings is interesting. He's played well here before. Likes this golf tournament. I don't know. Stallings, podcast friend. Finished 28th at the Sanderson last time we saw him. Gained strokes off the tee. And then Doc Redman. I like me a little Doc Redman. The guy bombs it. Looks like Julian Edelman. I don't know why you wouldn't play some Doc Redman here. And I like Doc at 175 to 1. Stallings is also 175 to 1. on my bookie. Keith Mitchell I know he's in the 7K range, but we didn't mention him. I don't know that I want to play him in DFS, but 150 to 1 for Keith Mitchell is interesting. And then I want to ask you about a guy in the 6K range at $6,600 who is 175 to 1 as well, is Matt Jones, who the last time we saw him withdrew from the Sanderson, citing a back injury, but that was also right after he shot a 3 over on day one, and he knew he was out of it. But before that, was playing some pretty good golf. Was Matt Jones at $6,600. He's played here 3 times, made 2 of 3 cuts with a 15th place finish as his best so far. But when I look at the numbers, man, like Matt Jones, 7th in this field in par 5 scoring over the last 24 rounds, 10th in strokes gained approach, 18th in greens in regulation, 31st in strokes gained putting on bent over the last 100 rounds, 39th in strokes gained off the tee over the last 24. Like, this guy's got all the game. If he's, I don't know, man. If he truly doesn't have the injury that he cited a couple weeks ago at the Sanderson, I think at 6,600, he's a very sneaky play in tournaments.
Yeah, I don't know about Matt Jones. Okay. I don't feel like when my big fat fingers are going through my DraftKings and I'm hitting that button to select a player,
yeah,
they're not gonna hit Matt Jones, even though they're big fat fingers and they could go errant and maybe click them by accident. I will probably go back and then X them out and then go back to probably Andrew Landry or Bo Hostler above him. Kind of like those as sneaky plays as well.
Maybe I can check the Pro-Am records on Wednesday. I don't know if not every player plays in the Pro-Am, but if I can check the Pro-Am records and see if he played on Wednesday, or maybe we can get some inside info from a caddy or player, make sure he's cool. I'm interested in that.
I just feel like he's a name guy.
But he's playing well. He's checking all the boxes. He's more than a name right now. Other than that withdrawal, if he hadn't withdrawn the Sanderson, he'd be up there. You'd be looking at him. Well, speaking of some betting, man, we've had a good start to this new season. We know we had the Robbie Shelton 150 to 1 hit. You had the Sebastian Munoz 66 to 1 hit. And then last week, man, you had some good calls. We sweated a little Adam Hadwin there on the last day. You had mentioned him at the 60 to 1 number or something or 80 to 1.
No, he was actually 71. I went back and checked. He was 70 to 1. So. And
we had Shez Reavy, who kind of faded on Sunday. So we've had some sweats, man. It's been good. We've been putting those plays in the Chalk Bomb email. If you've not subscribed, you need to go do that. It's the best piece of free content delivered to your inbox every Wednesday night with all the last-minute info. By the way, last week we had some inside information from a caddy who had been who was on site at the Safeway. Told us a little bit about the golf course, about how it's playing, about how it's set up, what you needed to do well, and I put that in the Chalk Bomb email exclusively. So.
Can I talk about this real quick? Can I?
Sure.
I need to talk about. Are we in the mode now, where we're out of the picks and we can get into just the fun stuff and whatever else?
Yeah.
Anything else on the Shriners that we need to talk about?
Not on the Shriners. No, I was gonna. Yeah, but go ahead. You do you.
Okay, so because you mentioned the Chalk Bomb, and besides the fact that we have changed the format, everyone who's listening, there is no actual Chalk Bomb because Ben's not writing that portion. So even though it'll be back.
It'll be back. January. First week of January, it's back.
But that's
probably been the most confusing thing we've ever done to the people.
Yes, still have everybody's going crazy. They're going nuts. They can't understand
it. Wait a minute, a Chalk Bomb with no Chalk Bomb? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, well, it's just the email is called the Chalk Bomb, but it doesn't have so. But that's beside the point. I need some more responses. This is just a request for me, so that I don't think I'm crazy. So if you read Pontifications with Pat, some of this stuff that I throw out there is just things that have happened to me that I just wonder about, and I need some enlightenment. But last week I wrote about the damn ice thing that they give you in the hotel rooms. They give you this cylinder ice, whatever you want to call it, and the ice bucket. And the bag that they give you never fits the ice bucket. And it pisses me off because I'm sitting there and I'm trying to get the damn bag around there. And finally, I just throw the bag away and just put the ice in the bucket. And it's probably dirty. I don't care. But am I the only one that this happens to? And so this brings me to another question. Like when I put this in Pontifications with Pat, I want some responses. I want some email responses, Twitter, whatever else. Tell me either I'm nuts and I don't know, or maybe I don't travel enough and know how to put the bag around the ice bucket. But
Yeah.
I really need to know because it pisses me off that this damn bag does not fit the damn ice bucket. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, guys, there's a lot of things that trigger Pat, and if we can help him, maybe learn a few life hacks to make his life
Yeah,
easier.
like make my life easier.
It's one of my favorite things to do is like when I tell Pat something or teach Pat something that he didn't know, and it's going to improve the quality of his life. It's one of my favorite things to do because I see the light bulb go off, and you could be that change in Pat's life if you have some kind of hack that helps him with the ice bucket in the hotel room. There's all kind of stuff like that you could help him with.
Like, do you put the ice in the bag first and then set it in the bucket, and then maybe you can?
So we're getting comments already on YouTube. Steve Tamagni, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's a long-time listener. He says because it's not supposed to be on the bucket like a damn trash can. LMAO.
Well, what the hell's the bag for then? Like it should fit around the bucket. That's what I think. He's right though. That's what I think of. It should be like a trash can. The bag should fit around it.
I'm just gonna let the listeners respond. It's gonna be great. Anyway,
that's all I had to say there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
You got to subscribe to the Chalk Bomb. You're missing out if you're not. You're missing out on some laughs, some inside information. You know, a potential 150 to 1 winning bet like we gave you 3 weeks ago. It's a free freaking email. You know, I mean, like, just get it. TourJunkies.com. Stroll to the bottom of the page. Look on the bottom right. Put your email in there and subscribe. Also, for you knuckleheads that are unsubscribing, there was just only like 3 of y'all a week out of thousands. But it just pisses me off when I see like a few of y'all just unsubscribe. It's unbelievable. But yeah, the Chalk Bomb's crushing. So, by the way, last week I think you mentioned on the DK show, you mentioned the Adam Hadwin pick. You deep dived into the Adam Hadwin pick, and you mentioned him in terms of betting that number like 70 to 1 or whatever it is. So if you're not watching the Tour Junkies After Dark on DraftKings YouTube channel, you're also doing that wrong. Also, just last week, Pat literally lost his mind on air. He actually lost his mind, like legitimately lost it on me. To the point it was uncomfortable that he lost it. If you're not watching right now, DraftKings has us do a show every week called Tour Junkies After Dark. And after we record our own show, like after this is over, after we've had more vodka, and it's 11 o'clock at night, we sit down for 20 minutes and talk about the picks that each other had in our show that we disagreed with. And then we give some betting advice. Well, last week, Pat got really pissed at the way I laugh. And he got pissed that I'm so smart, he thinks. And he had an epic just meltdown on the DraftKings show. So if you're not watching those, they get really loose. And DraftKings, gratefully doesn't edit a whole lot. They leave it all in there.
They leave it all in there. Edited that out.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it was uncomfortable. Like, I was uncomfortable. You can see it in my face. I look like a child who was being reprimanded severely by my drunk father. You're my drunk father, like coming in after a bowling league game or something, like just letting me have
bowling league game. the weekly poker night.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, you got to watch that. We do that every single week for the PGA Tour. Go to DraftKings YouTube channel. Comment. Give it a thumbs up. Tell them how much you like it. That helps us out. So yeah, last week we had Cam Champ winning the Safeway. Man, really cool story. You know, he had his grandfather who was on hospice, not too far away, watching him win. Grandfather's probably going to not be with us for very much longer. Grandfather's a really cool story. If you want to look it up, there's plenty of places you can find it. But African-American man who battled a lot of racism and was a caddy at one point at an all-white club and knew nothing about golf and had to pick up and move his family because of racism, and just an amazing story. And Cam
Really
Champs seems like such a great kid, man. And I've met him. I met him at Tony Finau's event briefly. He's a phenomenal kid. I've talked to his dad a bunch. His dad's a great guy. But to go out there and win it for his grandfather with a lead and having plenty of guys chasing him, hold on to it, and go out there and get it done, it was really nice to see. His grandfather taught him how to play, and I don't know, man. If you just think about, like, I know, Pat, you kind of grew up playing golf. And so just to think about, what that would have meant for you, it was pretty special to watch. It was good to see him win it. It was good to see him win. I mean, we've probably made fun of Cam and how he played after he won last year. But the kid is talented. Like, there's no doubt he's talented. I don't know. Like, I hope he plays. I hope he has a long career, and I hope he wins outside of a fall event. Just because, and not that it matters. Like, he can win a fall event all day long and be a rich dude and play on the tour for years. But I hope that one day he just wins something else, so that people will not talk about him like us and say he loves the fall.
Yeah, I think he will, though. He's super talented. He didn't have the year everyone thought that he would have after winning last fall, but I don't know if that was too indicative of what we're going to see in the future of him. I think the kid's a stud. He really reminds me a lot of Brooks Koepka, just as far as his style of play and everything else.
Yeah,
demeanor, all that kind of stuff. Now, I don't think you're going to see Cam Champ taking pictures with his girlfriend on Instagram.
Have you seen his girl, though?
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be taking I don't care what his girl looks like. I still don't think he's going to be taking those kind of pictures.
No.
But I think Cam is super talented. Very excited to see where he's going to go. I was right, by the way. If we go back to the beginning of the year when I talked about someone who might disappoint that everyone was so high on, I was correct.
Well,
I was actually right on Neiman, but it took a little late to happen.
I also, on that prediction, said that Cam Champ wins again in 2019.
So you did. Yeah, you did. Although this is technically the 2020 season, so too bad for you.
But what year?
Sorry,
what year of our Lord are we in right now? The 2019.
The tour says we're in the year of the Lord 2020.
All right, your perfect lineup last week for DraftKings was Cam Champ, Adam Hadwin, Charles Howell III, Mark Leishman, who shockingly, man, everybody was talking about how the dude was injured, including us. He was like 3% owned, played really well. Dylan Fratelli, and the guy who thinks he's going to build the Buck Club one day, Zach Blair. Anyway. You would have spent $46,600 on DraftKings in that lineup, and it would have scored you 646 points. Also, a guy who I was really big on heading into the Greenbrier, I talked him up. Man, I talked him up on the podcast. I wrote him up in the Chalk Bomb email. I was so excited for him, and he completely trunk slammed and missed the cut on Friday. But I still think he's going to be a stud. He made his first cut on the PGA Tour this past week, and he possibly spit on Tony Romo's golf ball. Mr. Christopher Ventura, the rookie from the Korn Ferry Finals, who only played 9 events and won 2 of them on the Korn Ferry. The Oklahoma State product, teammates with Matt Wolff and Victor Hovland. Tony Romo hit his ball up on the green on his approach shot, a freaking amazing golf shot. And Christopher did not take too kindly to that. And some are saying he spit on the golf ball. It is not clear whether he did so or not. Personally, I hope he did. And I think I love the guy. I want to double down on all my Christopher Ventura shares.
I don't care if he did or not. I think it was stupid.
Awesome.
I mean, Romo hit a great shot, and
he did.
if he did spit on it, then whatever. I don't know. Maybe, and he probably didn't even know who it was that hit up on him, so it wasn't like he was spitting on him. I'm sure he didn't think it was
the quarterback for the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Although that Oklahoma-Texas rivalry is pretty thick. Let's get into a new segment tonight, Pat, and wrap up the show. I'm excited about it. Before we do that, BenHoganGolf.com. We've talked about it. Pat, you just played a full round with the Ben Hogan Golf driver not too long ago. You can go to BenHoganGolf.com, use promo code Tour Junkies, get 20% off the already deeply discounted products because they don't have any retail. No retail stores. You have to order online. You can only get it online through their website. You get a custom fit for you. You get to pick out the shaft, the grip, all that fun stuff. They hand make it right here in the great United States of America in Texas, and they ship it to you. And it's a beautiful golf club. All the clubs are beautiful. They have drivers, wedges, fairway woods, hybrids, driving irons, wedges, putters, all that stuff. They all look amazing, and you get them at a much lower price. And you get an additional 10% off if you use promo code Tour Junkies when you check out, and you make us look good. You make us look like we're important. And yeah, so Pat, you played with the Ben Hogan driver this past week. How'd you do?
Oh, I loved it. I hit it very well. Actually, I have a pretty good TaylorMade driver, and I would say it may have gone further.
What you need?
I need some distance.
Most amateurs need distance.
But it wasn't just the distance. It had a good solid feel to it. I mean, it's a good you know, if you're like me, you can be a little bit OCD as far as how things look. It looks really good when you're setting up to it. It's just a sweet looking driver. It's got the what do they call it? The super slot, the whatever, I can't remember what it is. But it's speed slot. It's a great driver. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thoroughly?
Thoroughly.
Do you really say thoroughly? Was that
thoroughly.
an accident, or did you mean to say that?
That was an accident. That was Tito's, I think. Anyway, it was a good experience. I enjoy the driver. I like it. It's got a good feel to it. So definitely got to check Ben Hogan out. We're not joking here, folks. We're not just throwing this out here for any reason. I mean, they have some good stuff.
All right, let's get to the new segment. It's time for the putter throw.
Woo!
Insert cool graphic. All right, the putter throw is a new segment where we just get pissed off about something and rant. And if you follow us on social media, if you follow us and you were paying attention today, whether it be on Twitter or Instagram, you probably know what's coming. And that is the topic of saying the words golfing or go golf or golfed, golf ed. And is that acceptable or not? And I could not be more vehemently against saying those words. I think that is egregious. I think that you never hear a touring professional say that I'm going golfing or I've been golfing since I was 4 years old. You never hear them say, "Oh yeah, when I'm not on tour, I go golf with my friends on the weekends." You don't hear that. It's not in the vernacular in golf culture. Okay, now we can talk about. You don't say I'm going basketballing or I'm going footballing or baseballing or soccering, but then you have people who go, well, you can go swimming and running and biking. Okay. So there are not like firm grammar rules on this, but golf is not a verb, and I feel like this is one of those
swim, run, and bike
verbs
are probably verbs.
Yeah, but but golf is not a verb.
It's not a verb.
Noun, right?
Baseball is not a verb.
Right.
Basketball is not a verb.
Right. So you can say in that same scenario, I go play golf. The verb is play. I go play golf on the weekends. Or would you like to go, not golfing, but would you like to go play golf? Right? You can say that. That is perfectly fine. But I am tired of the people that are jacking this up, and it is annoying to me. And now you have people online who are making it their mission to work this in and let it infiltrate and say, no, it's okay. It's okay to say golfing. It's okay to say go golf. And I am part of the outrage culture that says, hell no, bucko. Pump the brakes. This is a freaking centuries old sport. We're going to say what you're supposed to say. We are an irreverent podcast here. We want to be irreverent. We've wanted to be irreverent since 2015. I hate that I have to tuck in my shirt at Pat's former club that he grew up in, Augusta Country Club, which is full of a bunch of stiffs. And I love listening to music on the golf course. And I love it. But I am not going to tolerate ignorant people who barely know anything about golf or just got into it when it was cool and want to say golfing like an idiot or go golf. It just pisses me off. I got heated today, and I polled some tour pros and caddies that we know, and most of them responded. I'm still waiting on probably 2 caddies and 3 tour pros. But 8 out of 9 tour pros, PGA Tour, Korn Ferry Tour, and actually 1 Senior Champions Tour player who's won on the Champions Tour, all responded. 8 of 9 responded, hell no, we don't say golfing or go golf. Only 1 pro said that it was acceptable. I will not name that pro. But only 1 said it was acceptable. Of the caddies that responded, we had 4 caddies respond. Only 1 said that they use golfing and go golf. Only 1. And his pro was one that said, F no, I don't say those things.
I still don't understand if that. I don't know if the ones that actually said that said they say go golfing really understood the question.
I had to clarify.
I'm so flabbergasted
I did have to
by
clarify
the fact that they said that was what they said.
Yeah, I had to clarify on 1. I was like, okay, so you mean you would say this statement? And he was like, oh, no. I would say I'd go play golf. I'm like, yeah. No, not go. You don't insert the verb. You literally use golf and make it a verb. And he's like, oh, no, I would never do that. Josh Kistler just said, I go yachting on the reg.
I go yachting. Well, I mean, look, golf is so many things trigger people in golf, though. So I just don't know I don't know if I would say it bothers me as much as it bothers you.
It bothers me, man.
But I do.
Which is crazy that it bothers me more than you. That's really crazy.
Like I say, like I'm going to play golf. I'm going to take my sons. We're going to go play golf. We're going to do this. I don't say I'm going golfing.
I've never said that. If my son said, "Let's go golfing," I just, and I'm not a grammar police guy. Like I don't care about the grammar police. It's not. The grammar is not even the fact that it's not a verb is just a very small piece of it for me. For me, it is that it is not a. It is if you are truly in the culture of golf and not just a consumer, but also you play and you play with other golfers, not your dumb buddies that don't play either, but you play with other golfers. It is not in the vernacular. It's just not. It's an unwritten rule that you just don't. You don't say it. You don't talk about it that way. You sound like someone who doesn't know what they're talking about and doesn't do it. So if you're new to the game, hey man, like there's a lot of things that we need to eradicate golf, the game of golf of, and a lot of it is the prim and proper, BS. But one thing that I don't want you, if you're new to the game, to get suckered into is saying golfing or let's go golf. Because you will sound like an idiot to people who have played golf for more than a year in their life.
Agreed.
You will never hear a tour pro say that on TV. You just won't. And so I'm like, I'm going to go to the source. I'm going to go to the tour pros and the caddies. What do you say? What do you not say? And I'm talking, if I could tell you how, of the 8 guys, tour pros, who said no, I would never say that, like 5 of them, the answer was either like a hell no, a fuck no, a God no. Like it was like an emphatic no. Like most of them. It's just, you can't do it. And I'm just sick of these people trying to make it a thing that's acceptable. I'm in the outrage culture. I'm getting PC here. This is the putter throw. It's my chance. You have anything to add to that, Pat? Your hair looks terrible.
Sorry, I just think that it is what it is. It's the golfing world. We got a lot of people out there that have crazy opinions.
Maybe we could hold it over the one guy's head, the one pro's head. That we got some people that wanna take him down on the streets of Twitter, and we could out him unless he does something for us. What do we have?
I don't think he cares.
I don't think he
cares. I don't think he cares all that much.
Yeah.
But we could do that. But
Yeah.
I would say that he's in a major minority, for sure, with people that actually.
Well, clearly you're checking out. All right. See, this is. Hey, look. If you guys think Pat's, at a certain spot right now, in about 30 minutes, we're gonna start recording the DK Live TJ After Dark show. So I'm telling you, it's gonna be lit.
I gotta go get my pen so I can write down.
You look like you have a top knot. Is what's going on top of your face. They want to know what Kiz said. The people on YouTube, listen. Kiz was an emphatic no.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we could go ahead and say that.
Kiz was an emphatic no, despite his love affair with the foreplay stool boys who have a T-shirt.
Who would say that? They would say that.
They do say it. They sell a
Now, if you want to
T-shirt.
get me fired up, you can start bringing that up.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, no. Kiz was an emphatic no. Yeah. So Josh says bad grammar and small ice bags are Tour Junkies' biggest pet peeves. First world problems. 100. All right, let's
tell me how to put the damn ice bag on the bucket. That's all I want to know. Put it around. It's too small.
Did you go to the haircut place last time and say, "Hey, can you thin my hair out as much as humanly possible, and then give me a little trim"? Did you say that, or is that just naturally thinning? Because you are on the way to looking like Cameron Percy. Okay, Pat's no longer with us, I guess. My boy says it looks like a troll you put on top of a pencil top. All right. Thanks, everybody. May your screens be green. See ya.